So nowadays, it seems like forging is a lot more complicated than it is. And by all means, I'm very new to this. But I was looking at all these guys, right, with their $400 propane forges, with the 5-gallon tanks hooked up, dual burners, all that cool stuff. And I made myself a little propane forge for heat treating. I make a lot of knives and stuff like that. But I was thinking, man, I'd like to get into true blacksmithing, true forging like that. How do I do it? Because it looked like there was such a great barrier to entry, right? It was super expensive. But then I was looking and I was like, well, how did the guys do it back in the day, right? Surely there was a way to do it without a $400, $500 propane forge. There's got to be a way to do it for way cheaper, way easier. That's how they made the old stuff, right? So then I started thinking about it and watching some really nice videos on YouTube and got to make my own. And I was literally snowed in whenever I made this, whenever I did it. It's super simple. It might actually shock you how simple it is. I'm sure I'll probably have somebody tell me this will never work. It's going to blow up, melt my house down, and I'm going to die. Might be right. Who knows? So I can't really, recommend it. So whenever I made this, I was snowed in, right? Like I said. And I was looking around the house. I wanted to get into it. I was kind of impatient. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I've been thinking about making a forge for a long time. And so I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make this forge tonight. It can't be that hard. I had done some research. And I knew all you need for a forge is a heat source, something to contain the heat source, and then typically forced air. So if you're doing it out of charcoal or wood or coal, you can't really get that hot enough to get a knife, maybe after a really long time, but to make it relatively headache-free and a little bit less irritating, you're going to want to force air into it. So that could mean, like in the old days, a guy with a big pump, pushing it in like they did with fireplaces. You could have, there's manual air pumps that you just crank while you're doing it. Those are super cheap on like eBay, Amazon, stuff like that. Or your wife's hair dryer, if you're willing to get in trouble for it, or a leaf blower. That's literally what I did. I used a leaf blower. So I don't have any kind of tubing in my forge. I just leave it as an open pit, and I prop up my leaf blower a good ways back so that I'm not too close on it and blowing all the coals everywhere, but enough to get some serious airflow in there. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for some serious airflow going into whatever it is. I used, as my container, an old toolbox, an old Craftsman toolbox. It was old, rusty, the hinges were blown off. It had basically no good uses besides the trash or to make this forge. So I said, hey, why not? I took this. It could have been, however, your old fire pit, your old barbecue pit, another metal container similar to this, that kind of stuff. It really doesn't matter. It could be a hole in the ground if it has to be. You just got to have something that you can put your charcoal in or your wood. Oh, God, I have to sneeze. Good Lord. All right. Anyway, it has to be something that you can put your charcoal in without burning your house down, without killing you, without all that stuff. So that's why what you want to do next, once you get your container, is you want to make a refractory. Ideally, you're going to use plaster of Paris and sand. Those are really good, or fire bricks, depending on the scale of what you're making. But I didn't have any of that. I literally made this for free, like I said, and I was snowed in, so I didn't want to go and try and kill myself driving to the Lowe's to buy plaster of Paris. So I figured, how can I make this for free? And then I went out and I dug up dirt. No joke. I dug up dirt. We've got a lot of clay in our dirt around here. So I dug up dirt. I actually added some clay to it, I think maybe, by smashing up some bricks and then powderizing them and putting them in here. I don't know if it did anything or not, but it's worked for me so far. And I just kind of made it into a C, like maybe a skateboard ramp kind of shape. The idea there is that you can just kind of fill it up with charcoal, and then you can put your knife, whatever it is, I'm doing it for knives, you could put your piece of steel in there, kind of surround it by the charcoal, heat it all up, get that puppy, force some air into it, and then you will literally from this simple little thing, you can get, I've heard of people doing charcoal forges in dirt, getting it up to forge wall temperature, which is exceptionally hot. That's hotter than you need to do quenching, that's hotter than you need to do just standard forging. And this little forge, just like that, for free, I started forging. I had charcoal at the house. You could, however, use wood. I wouldn't really recommend it because wood has a way of burning down faster, and if you're blowing forced air into it, it kind of wants to scatter all over the place, and you might light your backyard on fire. Wouldn't recommend doing this inside, clearly. I hope you wouldn't do that. Do it outside. Do it with good ventilation. Don't do it on a pile of dead leaves or an old, pile of bush or brush or whatever. But literally from this, it does not have to be that daunting of a task with a $500 propane, dual burner forge. It can literally be an old toolbox filled up with some dirt and clay that you're going to force air into. That's all you need. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Will you want to upgrade from this if you find out, yeah, this is my hobby, this is my thing, like I'm going to be a professional blacksmith? Clearly, you'll probably never run into a professional blacksmith with something that looks this ugly and this dirty. They're going to use those higher end tools. But if you're just some guy who wants to try out forging, or you're a knife maker like me who's done a lot of stock removal, but you want to get in, just kind of get your feet wet before you go out and buy some super expensive forge, this will work. It does not have to be that complicated. So as long as you have some wood, some charcoal, you have, I'm sure most people have something like this lying around. If not, check your dump, check Facebook Marketplace, check Craigslist, check, flea markets, whatever it is. You can probably buy a box like this that's useless to everybody else for like $2, $4. I mean, how much is it going to be to sell something that you were going to throw away anyway? I've seen grills and stuff, go up for sale. And you could do this as large as you want. You could make a great big two-handed sword if you just made this longer. It's very simple. And that's literally how they used to do it. Like, it doesn't have to be as complicated as people make it seem, I should say. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there for you. Super short video. I hope to put up some more stuff in the future, so check that out. I might be using this forge in some of them. But good luck. Don't burn yourself. And have fun forging. Here's an update from my little charcoal forge. Right now I'm just burning some wood because I left it out and the mud got pretty wet. But I stacked a couple of large flat rocks. I'll see how those work as time goes on. But then I cut a little slit here, like a V, and I stuck this hairdryer in, and I actually just kind of bent the metal around to hold it really nicely. And so far it's working really well. I'm gonna warm up the forge real good, heat up, burn some of this trash wood I have, just to dry it all out, and I'll get back to you with some charcoal in there.